Hey love, I'm sorry that your dad was a fuckhead, but I don't think I can fix that. And I'm not your daddy, I'm just an average guy that you psychologically, symbolically signify that I'm him, but I'm not.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest podcast going, the anti-George Carlin podcast. I am your ridiculously attractive and insanely handsome host, Ross of Nazareth. And I'm not saying that stuff, guys. If you are a follower of this podcast, I hate to say the word fan. Like, how neurotic, how important are you? You have fans? The worst is Chris D'Elia. He calls his people that watch his podcast babies. He calls them babies. Babies. Can you believe it? For real, dude. He calls his podcast fans babies. And in the beginning, I did call my, people that watch this podcast scribes, because I thought that was kind of cool. Scribes instead of subscriber. Scribes. I thought that was cool, and I am the dude with the cool Ross of Nazareth. How cool can you get? Anti-George Carlin podcast. That's pretty sick, dude. But before I get into this podcast, because this is an enthralling podcast today. It's thought-provoking. It's not an emergency podcast. You know podcasters that do that, dude? Get real, dude. Emergency podcast? Yeah, okay. I'm going this way, dude. You're going that way. We're never linking up. Emergency podcast? You're gay, dude. All right. Scratch that last one, YouTube. Sorry. I guess you can't say that word, man. And it is the G.G. Allen of insults. It really is. That's low-hanging fruit. I can't believe I just did that as a comedic bit. I called something gay. That is gay in itself. It's the G.G. Allen of insults. You're going to resort to a man having homoerotic endeavors with another man because you can't formulate an intellectual argument. You're going to just resort to that. It's the most low-hanging fruit ever. It is appalling, and I apologize. I just did that. But I legitimately have an apology to make because in the last podcast, the one about me being, and I'm not saying this stuff, the one about me being the most insanely handsome and ridiculously attractive up-and-coming stand-up comedian and podcast host. And I didn't say it. Guys, I didn't say this stuff. That'd be ridiculous for me to say. I can't wait until this is over. Ridiculously handsome. Can you guys believe this? Where do people come up with this stuff? For real. Ridiculously handsome? I can't wait until this stuff is over and done with. I'm trying to move on. If I had it my way, and a boy can dream, I would never have to talk about me being the most ridiculously handsome and attractive podcast host and up-and-coming stand-up comedian. I wish it didn't, I guess a boy can dream. But in this last podcast, I did talk about Matthew Shepard, who is a I don't know why. I said that kind of Matthew Shepard. So he is a homosexual man who got murdered in Montana in the 90s. And my high school, Nazareth area high school, the greatest high school. We are the Blue Eagles, dude. That was our mascot, the Blue Eagle. Dude, I'm a Blue Eagle. No big deal, an alum. And at any rate, we had to watch a documentary on Matthew Shepard, dude. And in the last podcast, I stated this as if I was the arbiter of truth, like a real class A moron, dude. I did embarrassingly state this as an arbiter, like I was the arbiter of truth about the Matthew Shepard case, which is insanely complex and it's very controversial, but but I read some excerpts out of the Book of Matt, the true story about Matthew Shepard. And they postulate that he used and distributed methamphetamines. So he was a gay meth user that sold and this is large quantities of meth. It was tens of thousands of dollars worth of methamphetamines, which in the 90s is a lot, dude, especially in Montana. So that was the motive for the murder of Matthew Shepard, the use and distribution of methamphetamines. These people, they're psychopathic murderers at any rate. So I do have empathy for the fact that poor Matthew, he got murdered. I don't think people understand the gravity of what that means when you take another human being's life. They have a family. They have civic responsibility. They have a lot of things that go on with a human being. You may be just an individual, but you have so much power. We are children of God, right? So to take someone's life is disgusting. It truly is. And I don't know whether he was a gay meth user or he was a victim of a hate crime, right? And I'm not the arbiter of truth around that. I think you should look into the case for yourself. And I'm removing myself from that. Just like I'm the most handsome. Can you guys believe this stuff? I'm the most handsome and most insanely attractive podcast host. Come on, get real, guys. I don't reject it. I don't accept it either. Like I said, the ETs. Maybe the will of the people should get down on that. But ladies and gentlemen, look, I'm a friend. That's what I really am. Come on now. So, look, in this, it's very on brand of this podcast episode. But we're going to talk about another psychopathic murderer, cannibal, in this Viceland documentary that didn't stink for once. I watched one on a psychopathic murderer, cannibal, who changed his name. Get ready for this. You ready for this? He changed his name to Pazuzu. I'll say it again. This psychopathic murderer, cannibal, that Viceland did a documentary on, changed his name to Pazuzu. We're going to talk about that. But first, here's a very on-brand song called My New Favorite Horror Show. Right? Because that's what 2025 is, apparently. It's an American Horror Show. Every relationship, blah, blah, blah. So anyways. All right, you ready? And it's my favorite horror show. And it's my favorite horror show. Every relationship is friction, as you can cut the air with a knife. As she speaks in silence, and as he slams the door at night, the golden rule has become a suggestion with someone you know so intimately. But if he's a dick, your silence only ends in misery. So pick someone you only think of as being a beacon of light when it's cold. American relationships are my new favorite horror show. And it's my favorite horror show. And it's my favorite horror show. And it's my favorite horror show. Can you feel truth? And can you smell lies? It's like you need a psychological degree just to be an average guy. Don't ask me how this happened or since when, 'cause I don't know. Just accept that American relationships are your new favorite horror show. And it's your favorite horror show. And it's your favorite It is your favorite horror show, American Relationships. So on to Pazuzu, dude. He changed his name to Pazuzu. Come on, dude. So in this documentary, there's this satanic weirdo that has tattoos all over his face. He has these dreadlocks. And throughout the entire documentary, he's telling people openly that he has a body in his basement that he's putting cat litter on and bleach to mask the smell of a human body decaying. All right? No one does anything. Like, in fact, not only does no one do anything, he has something called fiancés. This is worse than like he's a Charles Manson wannabe that somehow got 3 hot women, one with half her head shaved. A new age blonde babe with half of the head shaved. She's into this Pazuzu dude. In fact, every chick that comes around this dude, they have a brief interview with a heroin addict, and now a heroin addict, ex-Marine, right? And he starts dating this girl, and they start going over to Pazuzu's house, where apparently anything goes. You can just pee in the corner, and when you open up the door, it smells of urea and cat, and I think dog pee. That's what happens when you open the door. You get, oh, dude, it smells like urea in here, dude. It totally smells like urea in here, dude. What's going on with that, Pazuzu? If I was in Pazuzu house, dude, if I walked in, I would go, whoosh, I would smack him. I would go, clean up your house, dude. Your mom lives here? How disrespectful, Pazuzu. I would smack him. So, anyways, along this amazing Viceland documentary, the dude directing is like, can you believe this stuff? The cops come to his house twice. They do have, the cops come to this dude's house twice. And they are so dumb. They go, hey, is there someone buried in your backyard? And he goes, no. And that's the end of that. And then, lo and behold, like a week later, they come back with cadaver dogs. Again, they come up with nothing. So at the very end of this documentary, they start digging in the backyard and they find all these, I think it's like a few bodies, right? And this guy Pazuzu, ends up going to prison. So there is justice for Pazuzu. And I say you should watch that. I say you should watch that Viceland documentary on Pazuzu. It's very interesting. It's very funny in a weird way. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, that's a knee slapper, dude. But it's like, it's so insanely preposterous. And it's truly an American Horror Show. Call back to the amazing song from your boy, dude. No big deal. So you should probably watch that just for the obscurity of the comedic references throughout the Viceland documentary. When journalists could do a documentary that may challenge the status quo and also offend people. And for that, Viceland, I think.
Yeah, I thought that we had a chance, one last dance, but we did not. Now my heart's in two, but it's okay. Yeah, one day, when the love comes to accountability too, that you're not used to, 'cause you're so hot. Your eyes pierce my soul. Can't withstand the pain and all the rain. Let you roll. Oh no, no. So goodbye. Gotta change my number now. 'Cause we come in, I always get bent, so that's why I'm moving to
Bethlehem.